Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Lowry at Home, episode 5. Oh my gosh, that must mean it is Friday. I know we have lost track of any sense of what day it is even. But tell you what, it is Friday, so you know what they say, go big or go home. Well, we're all already at home, so we're going big. We've got two segments on today's show. Real excited about that. First up is the sweetest man around, Mr. Josh Sweet, with a little something new for you. Take it away, Josh.
Hello, and welcome to What I Heard from the Bird Nerd. I'm your host, at least for now, Josh Sweet from the Lowry Nature Center. In today's edition, we are going to learn a bit about what is happening during spring migration. That's right, even with everything else being canceled, spring migration is still happening. Each year, hundreds of species of birds will migrate right over our heads here in Minnesota. At the moment, many of the birds we are seeing and hearing overhead are water birds or waterfowl. In the past week, we have seen several new arrivals at the Lowry Nature Center and at nearby natural areas. Hooded mergansers, wood ducks, and canvasbacks. Kirk, can we please get a photo of these three birds for our listeners? Thanks. However, some of the most interesting flyover species are swans, big and majestic creatures. This time of year, you can see or hear two different types of swans, tundra swans and trumpeter swans. Kirk, can we get a picture of each? Thanks. Now these two birds may look very similar, but they make a completely different sound when flying overhead. Let's listen together. Kirk, first can you play the sound of a tundra swan? Now the sound of a trumpeter swan. As you can hear, the two species sound completely different. So the next time you see a large group of swans flying overhead, listen to tell the difference. That's all for now on What I Heard from the Bird Nerd.
Thanks, Josh. Tell you what, coming up next, you all have sent in some awesome questions over the week. And there was a bunch of questions for Lauren about the owls, so she sat down to record some answers to your questions.
Hey everybody, it's Lauren, and today I'm not at Lowry Nature Center. I'm actually in my backyard, but we wanted to take the opportunity to answer some of those questions you submitted on Monday when you were watching the barred owl video. So we're just gonna jump right in. Josh asks, are there wild owls on the Lowry Nature Center trails? And the answer, Josh, is yes. We do have wild owls at Lowry Nature Center. You never know where they're going to be. They move around and they change places all the time. But typically we have lots of luck around the acorn, tamarack, and aspen trails, because those are the trails that pass through our wooded areas, that mature forest. That's the primary habitat of the barred owl. And in February, we actually had luck with one owl in particular, a barred owl, who was seen pretty regularly. We suspect she was in the area looking for nesting sites. We haven't had as much luck in the month of March looking for her, but she may still be around. So good luck looking for owls, Josh. Next question comes from Elise, and Elise asks, can I pet the owl? This is a good question, Elise, because we get this one a lot. Unfortunately, the answer is no, you cannot pet the owl. A lot of people, when they see naturalists handling our raptors, reptiles, and amphibians, they think that maybe it's a pet, but the animals at Lowry Nature Center are education ambassadors. Their primary role is to help educate students about those animals and about their impacts on the environment. And when we handle them, typically we're handling them because we use that for wellness checks. Especially if an animal got sick, it would have to go to a doctor, and that doctor would need to touch the animal to inspect things like feet, beaks, feathers, claws, scales, things like that. So we want our animals to be accustomed to that touch so that in the event of an emergency, they can be properly cared for. Now, with that said, we don't handle them just necessarily for petting. So no, Elise, I'm sorry you can't pet the owl, but thank you for asking. Last question comes from Allison and family, and they ask, how often do barred owls need to eat? And that's a really tricky question, but the answer I'm going to go with is as often as they need to. Mostly an owl is going to need that energy. It's eating so it has enough energy to make a nest, to lay eggs, to continue finding food, to defend a territory, things like that. In the event that the weather starts to turn, or maybe the weather is getting colder, an owl might start putting on fat, which allows it to go longer in between meals because it has some of that extra energy stored up. But my guess is that owls will continue to hunt nightly as often as they can. Now, our owl at Lowry gets fed once a day. She gets a variety of foods. Typically, she gets mouse, rat, chick, or quail. And that allows her to have just enough variety so she's not getting bored eating the same thing every day. But she does get that once a day. So in the wild, who's to say they somehow find a way to make it despite maybe not having a meal every single day. So thank you for your questions, everybody. We hope you continue to submit them as we continue on this interesting online journey that we're on. So please continue submitting your questions and we'll send it back to Kirk. Thanks, everyone.
Well, that's it, everybody. That's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed this week of shows. Thank you to everybody who has watched. Thank you to everyone who shared us with your friends. We will be back next week, starting up next Monday with our second week of Lowry at Home. We've got all kinds of new fun stuff planned. We're taking the weekend off. We're going to go out and look for some birds, maybe hit the trails and do some peaceful activities out in nature. Hope you do too. And we look forward to seeing you here next week. Thanks so much.